So again, so far all we've done was from the neckline. We did about 1.5 inches from the collar on the left and about 3 inches on the right. And then we just drew a line, kind of a curved line from one to the other. All right, is there anybody not ready to cut? Everybody's ready? All right, so you want to use a pretty good pair of scissors, preferably a pair that you use for fabric, because when you cut paper, sometimes they go dull. So I'm going to start on one side. I keep my shirt folded just like this so that I'm doing a double cut. I want to cut through the front and the back at the same exact time. So I'm going to follow that line that I drew as close as possible. If you don't cut the ink part off, it's okay. It should wash off if it's a washable marker. Try to do as long cut strokes as you can. The shorter your cut, the more jagged your edge is going to be. So now my neckline is gone. At this point, you can try it on and see if it's falling how you want it to fall. But one thing that I show or do when I'm teaching t-shirt cutting is I stretch. I always stretch. So when you stretch, it makes things bigger. And that's another key point. If you're trying to make a size small t-shirt feel like a medium, the cuts that I'm showing you will do that. If you have a shirt that's too big and you want to make it smaller, you're going to have to cut then tie. A lot of people think that when you cut, it makes a shirt smaller, but it makes it a whole lot bigger, almost 2 times the size. So now that my neck is cut, I'm going to take my 2 pointer fingers, my 2 index fingers, and all I do is stretch from one corner to the other. Stretch, stretch, stretch. It's not going to break. Try to make sure you put your fingers inside. Instead of just stretching like this, put your fingers inside. You'll notice that your edges are curling. If your edges didn't curl, you probably didn't stretch enough, or you're cutting a t-shirt that's made from a different fiber grain that doesn't curl.
So what about the part that's coming loose from the seam on the shoulder?
Once you wash it, it's going to draw back up, but if it's a problem for you, you can just snip it. All you can do, you can just take your scissors and you can just kind of snip that little piece off.
I don't know, it's starting to come loose from the whole, I don't want it to come loose from the whole thing. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, mine is doing the same thing, look.
Okay.
You just snip it. If you take a look at the underside, look on the inside of the shirt.
Okay.
You see how that has a double, it's got a flap over it?
Yeah.
It's not going to come apart. If it didn't have that, then it might.
Okay. So
just snip that little piece off that you don't like where you stretched, and it should be fine.
Okay. I think I'm going to leave it alone. I don't trust.
All right. So we're good on the neckline.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That is your basic kind of scoop neck off the shoulder cut for the neck. All right. Now we're going to work on cutting the back of the shirt. So on this particular cut, we're just going to go straight down. I'm going to show you options though, pretty much how on the sheet of paper that I drew, where it was kind of like an hourglass, you can choose to make them go from shorter to longer, where it kind of looks like a triangle cut, kind of triangle, or you can do the hourglass cut, or you can just take it straight down. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your shirt and open it so that your 2 seams are together. To make sure you're getting an even cut, take that sleeve through the other sleeve. That should give you an even alignment on the back of your shirt. At this point, you don't have a tag. So if you don't have anything printed on your shirt, you need to figure out what the front and the back is again. you may want to write F or a B on the inside of the back so that you know you're cutting the back of the shirt. Some t-shirts, it won't matter. They'll fit the same, but others are cut in such a way where the bias is a little bit forward hanging. All right, so we now have our shirt folded in half, and I do this because I like to get a double cut pretty even. Now this is the point where you decide if you want yours to go straight down the same length, or if you want it to go shorter, longer. It's up to you. On the demonstration that I'm doing, I'm going to do where it's straight, even, all the way down. So this is a personal preference thing. The reason I cut shirts is because I like to get air when I'm dancing or exercising. So the larger or longer your cuts, the more air you get on your shirt. It's up to you if you want a shirt that has very small, kind of like a skeleton cut down the middle, or if you want it wider where it's almost across the entire back. A good average would be about 8 to 10 inches. So what that means, because your shirt is folded, your lines that you draw will be anywhere from 4 to 5 inches. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. All right, so it's up to you if you decide to start at the bottom because you have a straighter edge at the bottom, or if you start at the top. This is your first time cutting, I would suggest you start down close to the bottom of it, and you're going to draw about a 4 or 5 inch line from this fold. This is the fold of your shirt over. So I'm just going to draw. I drew a 5 inch line. Can everybody see that? I personally like to cut about 1 inch or 2 apart. The width of the ruler is probably about 1.5 inches. So if you wanted to do that, you can. You can just line your ruler edge up with what you just drew and draw another line.
Okay, so I'm using a tape measure because all my supplies are at school.
Your tape measure is usually about the width that I do. So that should be maybe about 1 inch. So if you do the width of your tape measure, your separation is going to be real thin, which is closer to what you see me wear, Crystal.
Okay.
Okay. The larger your distance, the more material you still have there to block. And even if you do have them a little bit thicker, you can always go back and add thinner lines. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw my 2 inch blocks. Once you get used to cutting, you may not draw. I never draw when I cut. I'm just, again, I'm doing it just for the lesson. It's okay if they go a little crooked, but try to keep them as straight as possible. So that's what mine looks like. For me, those are too far apart. So I'm going to go back in and put some thinner ones. Can y'all see that? I'm going to go back in and put lines in between. Now, while you're deciding what you want to do, let me show you a quick demonstration of the difference on the cut. So if I cut really wide, I'll cut 2 wide ones and then I'll cut 2 skinny ones. All right, so these are the 2 wide cuts. Can you see them? This one's a wide one, this one's a wide one. I'm always going to take my fingers and stretch. Then I have 2 skinny ones. Can you see the difference? See the difference? It's up to you which one you prefer, either the big cut or the smaller one. I like the thinner one personally. So go ahead and finish drawing your lines. All right, once you're done, let me know so that we can go ahead and start cutting. All right, Kina, you finished? Not yet? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little hard to use this pencil.
Yeah, the washable marker does work a little bit better.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't go back to my school, so all my supplies still at school.
That's all right. Well, look, as an art teacher, you know, I got everything everywhere. So I understand.
How far up did you come?
I went right below, because you have the same exact shirt that I have. I went right below where it says Letha Soul Line Dancing. But if my shirt didn't have anything on the back, I would go all the way up close to the neck.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you can actually, what I'll do is I'll do one in between also, because you can cut in between words.
Okay.
And I'll cut one right above so you can see both. And then later you can decide if you want to cut it or not.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I messed up on my first shirt. How do I cut it again? Like, how do I draw the lines?
Hold it up. Let me see what you got.
Nothing. It's blank.
Okay, so what do you mean you messed up on your first shirt?
I did the lines wrong.
Can I see it? Oh, okay. I see what you did. So we'll use that for a different cut. All right. So do you remember everything we did before? No. All right. Hold on. Let me get another shirt. All right, so you don't remember how to cut the neck either?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Okay. Go ahead and cut the neck. And then let me know when you're ready and we'll get the back folded for you. You ready? You ready now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to take your shirt and turn it so that the arms, you can slide that other arm inside. You see that?
Mhm.
Okay. What you want to do is kind of line up the back, the middle of it, so that it's straight, and then lay it down on your table. Let me know when you're ready, Kina.
Okay.
You ready? Okay. So now what you do, you see the folded part of the shirt, the back, that's the middle of the back of the shirt. This is the bottom of the shirt. You don't want to cut where it's open. So along this part, you with me?
Mhm.
That's where you lay your ruler down. And you figure out how far over you want to go. And you're just going to keep going every time about 4 or 5 inches over. And just draw a line, move the ruler, draw another line. You got it?
Mhm.
Okay. Crystal, are you cutting the neck on another shirt?
Yeah, this is a shirt that I already had like a V cut. When I used to work out, I just put a little V in it. So I'm just cutting that around that part.
Okay, because I was going to show other ways to cut necklines.
Okay, I got one more shirt to do that too though.
Okay.
So this one is I had already cut it so I could work out with it.
I got you. All right, Haley, how's it coming? You got your lines drawn or you still working?
I'm making them longer because I did it on the opposite side.
Okay. So I'll give you a few more minutes, Kina and Haley, before we start cutting. Okay, so again, so all we're doing is cutting on those lines through the double. And just make sure you stop where the marker stops. And you should only be cutting the back of the shirt. The front of the shirt is on the opposite side. With a cut like this, you can keep it down at the bottom where it just covers your bottom with your cuts, or you can go all the way up and have your entire back out. It's completely up to you, and it's based on age appropriateness as well. But with one like this, I get a lot of air and I wear a tank underneath. This same type of cut you can do on a fitted t-shirt. Instead of it being loose, it's just going to fit and you'll still be able to see those cuts through it. All right, I'm down to my last two, and then I will wait for you guys. All right, so once you're done, your cuts should be closest to you, and then the front of your shirt is on the other side. I'll give you guys a few more minutes. So hold yours up again for me, Haley, so everybody can see. See how she's got right in the middle where one of the sides came apart? We may be able to tie it back together once it's done. I'll show you how to do that. But for now, what we want to do is we want to start stretching those cuts. So again, I'm just putting my thumb or my pointer finger in between, and I'm just stretching. Each one, make sure you stretch each one. Take a look. See, I'm stretching from one side to the other. I'm not doing this. Look, I'm not doing this. I'm stretching from one extreme to the other.
My cuts are in the front.
Okay. Because you cut them kind of low, you can still stretch it and wear the shirt. It'll just hang by your tummy instead. Or because you cut the neck off, if you turn it around, it might still fit like it's back facing. You can try it on once you get done with it. Okay, Kina, don't get frustrated or give up on it, because you still will be able to wear that shirt. So I'm just stretching each one. And just make sure you're in those corners. And again, depending upon the t-shirt fabric or the fibers, sometimes they're stretchier than others. So even on mine, I had words that were there. I went ahead and cut around my words. Sometimes when there's ink on it, it won't stretch as well. But I just wanted to show you guys, you can still cut around those words if you want. So once you're done stretching, you should now have something that looks like this, and it just kind of cleans up the look of the cut. All right, Crystal, let me see.
Can you see it?
There you go. Yep. The only thing, it looks like you didn't stretch in here as much. So if you want it tighter, you now can come and do this, Crystal. Each one you can kind of stretch and it'll curl into those cuts. You see that? All I did was on each side, I just kind of stretch a little bit more. You can leave it like that, but if you want it to curl into it more, then you just kind of pull slightly at those cut corners. You see the difference?
I think I'm gonna leave it like this.
Leave it. That's fine. So now you have a shirt that's cut either all the way down the back or towards the bottom. And if you wanted it to go all the way across your back, then your lines would have just gone over closer to the sides. Or if you wanted it skinnier down the back, then your lines would have just been shorter. Okay? We're gonna go to the sleeves. You guys ready for the sleeves? All right. This is what I do. I kind of cheat. I fold my shirt in half, just like this. I fold it in half, shoulder to shoulder, so that my arms are side by side. Then I lay it down so that the top part of my arm and shoulder area is facing me. Try to make sure that the edge of the arm sleeve is side by side, because remember, The neckline should be off because you did a off the shoulder cut. So don't put it, so see right here, don't line it up at the neck, because then what happens is one sleeve is longer than the other. You want to make sure that it's at the edge of the sleeve, because you want a clean cut that's even on both sides. I like your headband, Keena. All right, are we ready? Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're ready.
Huh?
I said we're ready.
Okay. Again, you can use your ruler if you like. I'm just going to draw some straight lines. I'm going to start at the edge because I want to make sure they are lined up straight. If you start here, you run the risk of drawing at an angle, and then when you cut, it is weird.
So it's already sort of at a little angle because the top part is longer than the bottom of the sleeve.
Okay, and I don't want you to look at any of that. I want you to look at the straightness. If you have a ruler, the edge, the top, this part of your sleeve should be a straight line. We're not looking at where the armpit, where that seam is. Ignore that. You want to look at it as if it is straight. Perpendicular lines is what we're drawing. All right? So take your ruler. You're going to go about 4 to 5 inches, again, from the edge. The part that's facing you should be this part of your sleeve, 4 or 5 inches from the edge. And I'm drawing right on, you see where this little part of the shirt is, the little seam? I'm drawing right on that because that's going to be, I'm not drawing on the other side of my ruler just yet. I'm drawing right here. Hold on, let me draw it so you guys can see. I'm basically drawing right on the line where that seam is, just straight down. That was about 4 or 5 inches. I'm gonna come up a little bit. I don't want you to do it, I just want you to watch. And I'm going to make my line a little shorter as I come up. I don't want you to do it, I just want you to watch right now. Now you could make them straight across just like you did on the back, but I want to show you how to make it kind of like a staggered cut. All right, so what I just did was drew something that looked like stairs. So if you look at it straight, the lines get shorter as I get closer to the top. You don't have to do it that way. You can make all of yours the same exact length. So you decide how you want to do yours. You can make a long one and a short one, a long one, a short one. It's up to you. This is where the design aspect of cutting your t-shirt comes in play. So you decide. They don't have to be that thin. They can be thick, but you're only drawing on one side. Don't try to duplicate and draw anywhere else. Please go ahead and draw those lines. Again, they are going from the top of your shoulder down. If you draw like this, then you're going to have fringes. We're not going this way. We're going down that way. Anybody have questions? All right, let's see what you got. If you mess it up, guess what? You can always cut it off and we can make it into a tank top. All right, please go ahead and draw those lines. Make sure you keep that shirt folded. Okay, you're going to have to make sure you've got some really strong or sharp scissors because you're cutting through 4 layers of fabric. All right, I'm going to start with my shortest one and I just cut. I'm cutting each line. So I'm cutting through both sleeves at the same exact time. And this is how you get a very symmetrical cut. Haley, I'll come back and show you how to fix that one string on the back of your shirt. I kind of forgot, but I'll come back and show you that. Don't rush, take your time. It's a little tougher trying to cut through, and then make sure that there are no pieces hanging underneath when you cut, because sometimes that's how we end up cutting our strings in half or our lines. And I had I drew mine a little thinner than I wanted, so I'm actually cutting in between the lines that I drew. They weren't as thick as I like. So once you're done, you open your shirt and you should have cuts on the left and the right shoulder arms. Okay, good. Awesome. Kena, can I see yours? All right, open it. Let me see if it's on both sides. Yep, good job. All right, so the same way we stretched the back, you're just going to stretch those strings that you just cut. Trying to get inside so that you can stretch from one end to the other. And just make sure you do that on both sides. Now, if you cut, let's say for instance, you went too far and you started cutting here, then yes, your shirt would fall apart because you would be cutting these seams. So if you ever have a shirt that doesn't have that, then you can cut up on the sleeve, on the shoulder also, but just try to stay on the sleeve so that you don't have a shirt that falls off when you wear it. And that's the basics of cutting a t-shirt. So the way that I cut it, with it staggered, kind of going smaller to shorter, when I put this on, what it does is it makes it look like it's drooping. If I had just cut straight the same width, it would not have that effect. So because I cut the bottom ones longer, the weight, gravity pulls it down and makes it look like it's drooping down my shoulder. All right, that little piece that you cut off, that Kena was using for a headband, you can actually use this and do other cute little things to your shirt. So all I'm doing is cutting this thicker part from the back. And I'm just gonna cut it so that I have two of them. And this is, you don't have to do this, I'm just showing you some other pointers. A lot of times I use all of my scraps. And if you'll take a look at this shirt, you'll notice that I have a little bow at the top. That's something that you can do with this. So on the shoulder that is higher, I'm going to go from the inside of my shirt to my shortest hole. One of these that I pulled, I just stretch so that I get a long piece of string. I feed it through my neck over to that very top hole. See that? You can use a ribbon if you want it to look a little cuter. But now I just changed the entire look of my shirt. So now I've got a bow on one side and the shoulder drops on the other side. So those are some other cute things you can do. If you don't want to cut your sleeves and you just want to do that to the sides, you can do that. What I did, I'll show you real quick. I just did a little snip for that red shirt. I just did a small, tiny little snip up at the top. And then I roll or fold my sleeves. And then I use a ribbon or an extra piece. And tie a little bow. So if your shirt has like black or white, let's say this had white decorations, that would look cute with that little white on each side. Another idea, and again, this is just me showing you some extras. Going back to this particular shirt, if I wanted, you know how sometimes you kind of tie the shirt up so that it gathers on one side? If I wanted to do that, I could do the same thing. I just put a small little snip, not a whole cut, just a little snip kind of down towards the bottom. So you can see it's a real tiny hole, very, very, very tiny. And I'm going to feed this through. And I just added another little detail to the bottom of my shirt. Okay, so just be playful when you're cutting your shirts. I did say that I wanted to show you different ways to cut necklines. So I'm going to show you on this shirt how to make a different neckline. So on the first one, we kept the shirt just like this, and we just kind of curved around and cut. On this one, I'm going to fold it just like I did before. So you'll have that shoulder line connected. I lay it down so that the front of my shirt is on one side, the back of my shirt is on the other side. All right, you lay it down and you don't even have to draw anything. You can just cut right along that collar. Or if you want it to be a V, I'm going to kind of I'll just draw it so you can see it. I'm just going to draw kind of like a V. Can you guys see that? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right at that little corner. And then I go all the way around. So I just cut this part off, and all I have is that point. So now when I open it, I just cut a V into my t-shirt. You guys see that? I made it from a round neck into a V neck. Crystal, you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Again, I like to pull mine just to kind of curl it, but you don't have to. All right, so let me go back to Haley's accident that a lot of times we do have when we cut t-shirts. So she had one that was it in the middle, Haley, or was it over to the side?
It's over to the side.
Can you hold it up? Let me see.
It's this.
Hold the, okay. So because yours is so far over, you can actually just cut that off if you want to, or take a look, because this does happen sometimes. So let's say it was like this, where you had a short piece and a longer piece.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, are you watching? So you cut by accident, so now you've got a long piece and a short piece. What you do is you just stretch both sides and then tie it in a knot. Or another thing that's really cute is if you have beads, this is how you would add beads to your shirt. You could slide the beads on before you tie it. And I don't have any beads in here with me, otherwise I would show you. Just tie it really, really, really tight. And then I would snip these two sides off so that you can't really see it that much. And unless someone's up close, they won't even be able to tell that you made a mistake. See that, Haley? So again, if you wanted to add beads to your shirt, all you do is snip it, slide the beads on, tie it back off, and then you've got a different shirt. All right. Do you guys have any questions, or were there any other shirt ideas that you wanted help with? Yes, Keena, we need to fix that shirt that you messed up. So hold it up for me again. Show me where those lines are. Are those in the front?
The back.
That's the back. Okay, so let me find a shirt. I guess I could do this one. Yep, I'll do this one. Nope, don't want to do that one. Sorry. All right, so what you're going to do, you know how you have those lines? You have that line that kind of comes here. What you're going to do is continue to draw lines. Now, do you want them, what we're doing is we're doing fringe. Do you want it all the way around the shirt or just in the back?
All the way around.
All the way around. Okay, so go ahead and draw your vertical lines, just like that one that's coming from the bottom. And they don't have to be thin, they can be kind of thick. If somebody wants to do this cut, you can grab another shirt and you're gonna do the same exact thing. When you're working on a darker color, sometimes the marker won't show. So what I use is chalk. So all Keena's doing is just drawing vertical lines on her shirt. Just on the front. So when she gets done, she should have something that looks like this. Can everybody see those lines? That's what you're doing, right, Tina? All right. Let me know when you're ready to cut. Are you doing this one too, Haley? Are you gonna do this one?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, you guys let me know when you're ready to cut.
Gotta get this.
So we're cutting through the front and back. We're just staying on those lines. And I'm cutting straight up to wherever my marker line stops. I'm just cutting, cutting, cutting. Each one of those lines, I'm cutting through the front and the back. So it's a double layer cut. And this is also another cool cut where you could put beads at the end. And then you just tie a knot at the bottom. Okay, so when you get done cutting, you should have fringes on the front and the back. How's it coming?
I had to start over, so I'm doing another shirt. But
okay.
are we supposed to cut the bottom off?
You can, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah. If you don't cut it off, then it makes it a little heavier at the bottom when you, because what I'm doing now is I'm going to stretch and then I'm going to tie a knot in the bottom. If you're putting beads on, definitely cut that bottom off first. But otherwise, you just, it leaves a little decoration at the bottom if you don't. See that?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what she was asking is if she should cut the bottom edge off. So on this shirt, I cut the complete bottom edge off. So if I was putting beads on, then this would be a better one to put the beads on because you don't have that big, thick edge at the bottom. You finished cutting, Kina? Okay. What you working on, Crystal?
I'm doing the other shirt that had the V, that had cut a V,
okay.
and I'm just doing the back, but I have words on the back, so I cut in between the words.
Oh, cool.
This was one of them teacher appreciation shirts.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's fun to play around with the lengths of the lines when you cut. Because like I said, if you start long and then get smaller, you have something that kind of looks like an hourglass. And a lot of times it gives the illusion of making you look smaller in the midline. Just if you have extra shirts, just play around with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel like you messed one up, you can always bring it to me and I can see if there's a way for me to fix it.
Okay.
At the bottom, what you want to do, Kina, each one you want to stretch. You don't have to tie a knot at the bottom if you don't want to, and it ends up looking kind of like this. Can you see it? Where it's kind of just flat, or you can tie them at the bottom. This is what it looks like if it's tied. Can you see that? So it's up to you. You either leave it after you pull it and it just kind of fans out, or you tie a knot at the bottom. And that's what you're going to do for each one of those that are hanging. And again, like I said, if you wanted to, you could put beads on them. The further up you go, the closer to your tummy. So if you're trying to have your tummy out, then you could have cut kind of all the way up. You don't want to come up this far unless you're definitely going to wear something underneath. But again, it's just different ways to create or design. That's what I call it, t-shirt designing. And this is something that you can finish on your own because it does take a while to stretch each one of those. You still cutting, Haley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to show you guys how to do a another sleeve before we go. Hold yours up, Haley. Let me see the bottom.
I cut the bottom off.
Oh, you cut the bottom. So you haven't started your vertical cut yet. Okay. All right. So I don't want to leave you, but I want to go ahead and show, you know how to do this cut though, right, Haley? Okay, so let's all go together so we can learn how to cut the sleeve. All right, so it gets a little tricky because we're used to working with the sleeve like this. What you're going to do is you're going to fold it up like you're putting a cuff in your sleeve. Just one. And you want to try to make it where you don't have any buckles in it. Just kind of stretch it out so that you can get it as smooth as possible. All right. You're going to then take your marker and you're just going to draw vertical lines that are kind of spread apart. I'll hold it up in just a second. You don't see this cut very often because it's not necessarily easy to figure out. Can you guys see those vertical lines that I put across the edge? Can you see them, Keena? That's what you're going to do. And we're only doing one sleeve, so when you finish with this sleeve, you can decide if you want the other sleeve to be exactly the same or not. I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do with my other sleeve. Let me know once you're ready to cut. Make sure that the fabric stays folded. You're just cutting straight through up to the edge where that hemline is on your sleeve. If you keep going and you cut straight through it, then your sleeves will be fringed just like the bottom of your shirt. If you have space right here near your armpit area, you can cut one more. And right where it was folded, see right here where the fold is? I'm gonna cut. I'm just gonna put my scissors through here. Everybody look. I'm putting my scissors through the fold and I'm just gonna cut on the fold. Now when I open my shirt, you'll see that the cuts are there. You can leave them short like that if you want, or you can make them go further up the sleeve. So I'm gonna cut some of mine a little bit longer, just so that I get more air. So all I'm doing is going into my lines that are already cut and just making them a little bit longer. And you have to be careful because if not, you'll end up cutting one of them. All right. The same way we did. Is this what yours looks like, Crystal?
Except that part right here.
Oh, you cut it. It's all right.
Yeah, but it's okay.
No, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something.
Actually, it's okay. It can stay like that.
Okay. Because what I was going to say, if you take a look at hers, you should now, if you have elastic, you can actually put elastic through it, and then you have a fitted sleeve that kind of blossoms out.
Yeah, my arms are big, so that's good.
Okay,
it
so
can stay like this.
I got you. Okay, so then all you're going to do is you're just going to come in here and stretch them. You got to stretch each one all the way around. And you'll notice that the fabric feels different when you stretch this way because you actually cut along the grain versus against the grain. And this is what it looks like once you put it on. It's a really cool look. See that? You'll not be able to see it because it's so close to my skin color, but you can kind of see the holes. And like I said, you can either do both sleeves the same exact way, or if you want, you can take this whole sleeve off so that you have a tank. It's up to you. Or you can do the little fold thing on one side. It's totally up to you what you decide to do with that sleeve. All right. Any other questions? And again, you can take that neck off if you want. It's up to you what you want to do with that shirt. Did you get what you wanted, Haley?
Yes.
Yes, good. And Keena, were you able to learn some techniques that you think you can play around with?
Yeah.
All right. And Miss Crystal, were you able to get what you wanted out of this?
Definitely.
Awesome. So again, this was a very basic beginner one. I may do some other more advanced cuts where you're actually weaving different things. So stay tuned, and thank you guys for tuning in.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Happy cutting. See you later. And I will post the video. It'll be on YouTube. I'll send the link out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.